in today's session, the idea is we want to give our potential students the opportunity to connect with faculty. Today's session, we have Willem, who's a tutor of our Tourism and Hospitality Management program. We want you to get inspired by his story. So that's basic. You know, that's the core of, you know, why we're doing this today. We want you to get inspired, and we want you to ask questions that you might have about the industry, or just you know, advice that you may need, no, as you prepare to start or to embark on this new learning curve about, you know, specializing more in the tourism and hospitality industry. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions,
okay.
And to Willem, and feel free after that to ask your own questions if they have not been reflected in any questions that I'll be asking to Willem, so that we can have a very participative session today. Okay, so I'm going to start with my first question, Willem, which is about your background. So tell us about your background and how you've become an expert in the tourism and hospitality management field.
Well, expert, of course, that's your word, but thank you for the compliment. But no, I've been, in the industry for a long, long time. I always loved already as a child the whole world, you know, of really making people happy. I think at its very essence, for me, that's what the hospitality industry is all about. And as a child, I'd like to organize parties, theme parties, have my friends over, taking care of them, see them happy. And then as I got older, that kind of, you know, got in a more professional format. And it was actually triggered when my family, when we went on vacation to the United States, and we went to Disney World, and I was so, at that time there was no Disneyland yet here in Europe. So we went, you know, to the States, and I was really so impressed by this whole thing, and about, you know, the level of detail and service, and I just said, wow, I want to be part of this world, you know, and then of course, you know, I started, you know, at the high school, I started to work in some restaurants in the kitchen, and then I decided to study hotel management. But I wanted to go back to the States because I kind of had, you know, I'm from the Netherlands, by the way, for those of you that don't know. So all my youth, I was, of course, back in the Netherlands, and then so I wanted to study this in the US, but at that time, you know, well, of course, with all the visa, you could not directly go. And so I actually had some time to kill. And so I decided to go to France to improve my French, and then actually studying French and working in hotels, which kind of confirmed I worked in a boutique hotel in Paris in room service. And it only confirmed, hey, this is where I wanted to be. So then I went to study hospitality management in the United States and University of New Hampshire, near Boston in the New England area. And after that, I actually winded up after finishing my studies in Japan. I worked in a resort there, in a beautiful, it's a Holland-themed destination resort, basically like a copy almost of the Netherlands, if you will, with full-fledged, you know, buildings and tulip fields, and there's a part of Amsterdam with the canals. It's really amazing. And so it's kind of for the Japanese in order to have a European experience without leaving the country. So I worked there mostly in F&B, and then I went back to Europe after I finished my program, and I winded up actually, well, the circle almost being complete, where it all started. I winded up in Disneyland Paris. So it started with Disney, but then in Europe, I was there in the luxury hotel in charge of the guest relations, and the concierge and Bell and Valet area there. And then there were some American executives and said, well, you should come with us to the States. And so that's how I went to Walt Disney World in Florida, and I was there also for a year and a half. came back, had a great time, and as Ignacio already knows, but also if Disney has been such a big, well, a school for me, really, if you want to call it like that. So, and I learned so much for professional and personal level as well. So, and of course, Disney is an incredible benchmark. So, in terms of excellence and quality and service and guest focus, but also employee focus. So, there was a great school. I came back here to Europe, and I wound up here in Spain as my now wife at that time, my girlfriend and fiancé. We got to know each other in Disneyland in Paris, and then to Disney World. So, so that's how I wound up here. And of course, she's from the Barcelona area. And then actually, I helped opening up the theme parks, resorts of PortAventura, the first hotels in PortAventura. It's a big theme park. It's kind of modeled after Disney. Very successful copy, if you will. And so I helped opening up the hotels there. And then I went on to opening more hotels. I helped opening up Dolce Sitges. Sitges is a beautiful seaside resort close to Barcelona. If you come here, Mohammed, you will definitely have to visit Sitges. So I was there in the opening task force as well. And then I was more in the front office. By the way, also in Disney World, I was more also a front office, so rooms division. And then I wound up actually being assistant director of operations. And that one in charge of all the operations, particularly in the afternoon and evening. So after that, I kind of left operations, but of course I still love this whole world, and I started to focus more on academia. So that's how I came, also amongst others in SA. Back in, I think, or since 2012, I think I've been part of SA. And kind of, we started then the hospitality program. And I remember we started with one student, and it was really kind of daring in the sense and that, you know, management said, hey, well, we will start, only have one student, but if we wait until we have the perfect number of students, we'll never start. So poor student at the time, of course, it was all one-on-ones, well, knowing with me, all the other teachers. And of course, since then we've really grown, and I'm very proud in general of how, you know, how far SA has come, at least in the hospitality part. Of course, as a business school, they were existing already for a long time. And so yeah, and so that's how I came part of SA, but I maintain my, you know, connection with the hospitality and tourism industry. I do a lot of training and consulting. So I do trainings and you know, with chains like H10 hotels. I've done projects for Fairmont, for Taj Hotels and Palaces in Morocco. So, you know, so I'm still part of the industry, but at the same time now, instead of being operations, now you're kind of sharing my knowledge and help a new generation of hospitality and tourism leaders to be ready. And I have to say, that's a very, yeah, it's a very fulfilling thing to do. Yeah, so that's been kind of my path, my journey, yeah, to up to today. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's, you know, you have a, well, I can see, you know, that you've had a very long connection with tourism. It's your passion.
Yeah.
You've experienced tourism from a lot of different angles and fields. And to be able to give back, no, to the next generation of tourism experts, no, I'm sure is definitely something that's very fulfilling for you as a tutor and also as a teacher and faculty.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. It's sometimes now via LinkedIn, amongst others, sometimes, you know, I get messages from former students who've now kind of, you know, and they say, hey, thank you, Willem, or you guided me, or even, you know, people who never considered going in hospitality and tourism, because I also gave some courses in you know, in business schools, and said, wow, you know, you opened up, you know, this whole new world. And so, yeah, that's really so, yeah, that's so wonderful. That's so rewarding. That's really, yeah, that's worth all the effort and blood and tears and sweat, you know, sometimes that is part of the job. No, but yeah, I really enjoy that. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. So tell us about the subjects that you actually teach in the program.
Yeah. So I take care of two courses. So I do hotel management and operations. So that focuses, as the word says, on, you know, managing hotel from different angles and going all the different departments, but more an emphasis, of course, on leadership from a leadership perspective. And then I also do event management and MICE, so which of course is a very booming, well, was of course a very booming, part of the hotel and hospitality tourism industry, and of course particularly Barcelona became, one of the front runners in that area. So so those are the two courses that I take care of, and then all the others. As I said, I've been part of the program for a long time, so I kind of help to steer it a little bit. And I really, some of the great people like Pau Pitarch and Maggie van Egmond and others, I kind of helped, handpicking them and putting them in the program. So I think that's really the strength of our program, that it's all professionals, people with a background that are not academics, who live on the cloud somewhere, and who are completely disconnected from our industry. But no, these are people that are living and breathing, and know what's happening in the world, in the industry, and bring that to the table and bring that to the program. So I think that's really the strength of our program from the school perspective, of course, together then with this blend of people from all over the world that join us. That's I think the other big strength of the program. Such a diverse group of people and backgrounds. You'll find people who have hospitality and tourism background, but also people who kind of saw the light in a later stage perhaps, and then come with a completely different background, but that often is very complementary and really build each other up, if you have all like-minded people. So I think there's also this blend of students. That's another thing that really makes our program very very special. And also it's a relatively small program, although they're not classes. I think overall essay, what I really like, sorry perhaps that I'm talking so much here, but
no, go ahead.
That it really has this family atmosphere. I mean, it's professional. It's professional, it's organized, and but at the same time, it's a very warm and close relationship. And you also feel it with the students, and also the groups are relatively small, so it's a very personalized approach, and really everyone can share and be you cannot hide. Of course, that's another thing. If you're in a big group as a student, you can kind of hide, but now that is not the case. So you're kind of in that sense, it's you can really share your experience and your questions and your doubts, but also but you kind of have to in a way, but in a pleasant way. I mean, we're not forcing anything, but it's perhaps also more it's more comfortable. It's not as frightening perhaps if you're in a group of 20, 30, to open up. And so that's a little bit of the program. And of course the two courses that I teach.
That's awesome. That's great. And I think that you did, you were right on point with, the DNA of a say. It's really about our students, being close to them. And our classrooms are pretty small because of that, wanting to have that, one-to-one tutoring for each and every student to develop their unique talents, and also to push them to have effort, and to drive and to work hard, in each of their modules, and counting with a lot of international faculty, experts in the field, so to say. We also look a lot about the faculty, making sure that they have the industry experience as well. And then the other thing is in our classrooms, So Willem, tell us more about your classroom experience. I know that you use the case-based methodology. So what is that about? And how would you describe your methodology in the classroom?
Yeah, well, what I like to do is, as you said, the case method. So I always ask students, to read a case, a situation, and sometimes with questions already kind of prepared at what I want them to answer, but not necessarily. So people have to come prepared in that sense. If you have to come to class and do your homework, do the readings, right? So, and then what I usually in the beginning of the class, I do a little bit of theory, and then based on the case study, we kind of see it in action, and then apply it and see what happened, what were the strengths, the weaknesses, what were the failures or the successes. So the theory, but then really, see it in a real world setting, and then discuss what went well and what went wrong, and analyzing and come up with solutions, because that's what leaders have to do. Right? They are thrown into in a situation, and then they have to deal with it and make sometimes tough decisions, and make changes and improvements. So I kind of want to have the students already kind of be prepared for that, get them ready for that sense, for the real world. So working with case, so a blend of theory. You need, of course, foundations, right? You need certain topics and themes and to be discussed, and students need to know. But then we cannot have a 3-hour blah 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 session. Then we have to kind of make it practical and make it real. And then so we do this usually a case study or some articles that are related to the subject, the topic, the theme that I'm discussing. And also what we try to do is, of course, do visits, industry visits, walks. Of course, now with the whole new situation, of course, we'll have to see how that will work, or if we can have perhaps guest speakers, whether it's hopefully, if we cannot go to the hotels or the places, that perhaps they can come to us, or otherwise in a similar setting like this, Zoom. But so also that's another thing. Also have other people, experts, perhaps talking, or go to places and see it, in action. So go beyond only the classroom. So that's also what I'd like to do. But again, of course, I have some things, in mind and set up, but of course, I hope they can materialize.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
And Barcelona is such an amazing city for that, no? Like it's, in terms of like case-based methodology, no? Like Barcelona is a case for
By
tourism
itself,
in
right?
itself.
Yeah,
No?
it's right at your doorstep. So, so that's also nice. I think that also has to do with our faculty, that we have this healthy blend of local people who know, of course, Barcelona and Spain and the reality here in the city, but also we have a very nice international. So also have an international sauce, if you will. So I think it also, and of course, sometimes also interesting to have an outside perspective on Barcelona, right? Instead of only have local people talking about their place, but also good to have this perspective of people from the outside, how they visit, how they view this, right? So, but of course we go beyond Barcelona. We talk about, brands and places and things all over the world. It's not, but of course Barcelona is it's a great testing ground, if you will. It's a great walking, living, breathing example right here with us, right? So, and some of the, teachers will kind of talk and help to reveal the reasons of the success of Barcelona as a tourist destination. So, and hopefully students can apply that and other things that we teach, of course, to their place where they will work, or to their careers, right? So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. So you actually touched upon this question before, but I just wanted to, to expand on it before, talking about your expectations from students. So as you use a case-based methodology, which is very practical, you did mention that, students have to come, do their reading, be prepared before the classroom. But I want to know, like, what do you expect from students before, during, and even after the course?
So, well, of course, as I said, before the class, of course, come prepared, do your homework, homework in the sense of do the readings, and then be in class, be part of it and connect and engage, talk. I know sometimes in certain cultures, it's kind of, and I mean, of course, I've been dealing with, students and guests and employees from all over the world. So I understand this, the cultural nuances and differences, but what we really like to do is hope, and also that students, that we will really want them to be part of this. So it should not be a monologue, just me talking from my place, and no. So we really have this dialogue going on. And I always say in the class, there's such tremendous brain power we have all together. All the we come up with great ideas and and bouncing off to each other. So I really want people to to participate, to be part, and that's how you learn. I mean, if it's just, if being successful is just, you know, reading an article and memorizing things and, you know, and put them in a report, you know, well, then why bother, right? Of coming, but it's of course the exchange, talking to each other, defending, you know, sometimes, you know, people will agree or disagree, but that's healthy too, because in real life, that's what's going to happen with your bosses, with your students, with your guests. You have to be able to, you know, of course, to defend and learn to articulate your ideas, your thoughts, and also defend why certain decisions, right? And that's what in the real world, if you said, well, we have to invest so much, or we need to do that, you know, the owners, the shareholders, or the manager will know, well, why? What's the return on investment? Why should so? So that I think is really important, and you know, and to really actively be involved, engage in the class. Yeah, and show, and of course in a respectful way, and show your passion, right? I think it's really, and that you need before, during, and after is passion. I mean, our industry is amazing, but it's also very hard. It's long hours, it's hard work. It's often working when other people are on vacation, are off. Pay is usually not very great at the beginning. Things change, but so if you don't have another drive, if it's only, let's say, money driven, your reasons to be in the industry, no, but you have to have this passion, right? To, as I said at the very beginning, of making people happy, right? To succeed. And as you also touched upon, this accent, right? This passion to do things well, to do things right, not half. I mean, who likes to go, you know, to who likes to go to an average restaurant or an average hotel? No, we want to go to the best hotel. We want to do the best restaurant. So how is that accomplished? By people who do their best. So that's what I also expect in class, for students to be the best, to excel, and I want to help with that. And also, and once you're out of here, continue that passion, because that's really what will drive you, but also what people will see, your guests, your future employers, and say, hey, that's what I want. Because, yeah, I mean, we can learn a lot of things, but passion you cannot learn, you cannot teach, right? You have it or you don't. And usually people in our industry, you know, a lot tend to have that, right? But I think that's also a key ingredient for success in the classroom, before, during, and after. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, like nobody wants to go to an average restaurant or to
No.
An average hotel, or to have an average experience. No,
Exactly.
we all want the best. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah, that's awesome. That's great insight. So Willem, a lot of times we get this sort of question from students, no, asking about the job opportunities in the industry after graduation. What is your take on this? Like, what insight can you provide us?
Yeah, of course. Well, it's no secret, of course, that we are now in a very unique situation in the the coronavirus pandemic situation. Which, of course, let's be honest, for our industry has been, you know, really tough. It's been really, you know, a big shakeup, in a certain way, a crisis. But of course, a crisis is also always opportunities, right? If we think back, a lot of the big fortunes, the big successes were forged during times of crisis, right? So I think that's really important to see. And of course, right now, yeah, we are in a tough spot. The industry, in a way, is in a pause. So actually, I think there was never a better time for people who contemplate the hospitality industry, who already are part of it, and now, of course, will find it perhaps difficult to have a job. Hey, let's now, you know, there might be at this very moment, I mean, and now today, there might be fewer, you know, options to find work. So now perhaps to study and, you know, build my expertise, my skill set, you know, and then to be ready once, of course, because there will be light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, particularly our industry, hospitality, tourism, traveling, is so powerful and also so resilient. It will bounce back. I mean, we saw it in 2008, 2009. You know, of course, we went.
Willem, I think your microphone, could you turn on?
Hold on. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Right. There
sorry.
you go.
And so we will bounce back, right? So I think right now is the great moment to kind of perhaps, yeah, study, prepare yourself, take in a lot of the knowledge, because, and then kind of going towards the answer of your question, because by the time we're out, when students will be graduating, so we're talking in a little bit less than a year, there will be a whole different landscape, right? So there will be a need again. I think people will start traveling again. People for personal and also for professional economic reasons will need to travel. So this will come back. In what shape or form, of course, what job opportunities there will be, of course, it's hard to say, but at the same time, I think there's going to be a lot in sales related, because we will have to start selling our destinations again. We have to create awareness, brand awareness. So I think sales and marketing will be a lot. Technology related as well, as we see, of course, now a complete acceleration of the digitalization, of course, something that already was happening, but now has gone in light speed mode, if you will, right? So all the touchless pay, facilities and technology. So there's going to be, opportunities there. But at the end of the day, there will be also a need, because that is also the strength of our industry, is face-to-face. Okay, we talk now about social distancing, but that doesn't mean that we have to distance ourselves from our guests. In a way, we have to be closer to our guests as ever. They have to feel that we care for them, that we protect them, right? So, and that you cannot only do via a WhatsApp message, right? I mean, it's part of it, right? So, and so I think, and there's going to be probably new formats. I mean, our industry is constantly reinventing itself. I mean, think of Airbnb. Who had heard of Airbnb 5-6 years ago, right? And now it has completely transformed the landscape. So, and this will happen again. There will be new forms. Perhaps they're now in the making. So we'll see what 2021 will bring in that sense, right? So, but there will be opportunities, I'm sure, and perhaps in the areas where I spoke of, and probably others as well.
All right, that's true. I mean, we have to be prepared for the world post-COVID, no? And it's going to be a new environment, a new playing field, and being prepared in terms of skills, and being able to take on the challenge of what new opportunities will provide, I think is going to be key, and will be the differentiation point, between a prepared candidate and one who's still in shock post-COVID. So
that's now the time, I think, really to, as a student, to get in, or as a future hospitality or current hospitality professional, to get a competitive advantage over other people, right? Because that you can say, hey, I've done this, I've studied this, so it will give you some extra that other people might not have, right? So, and of course now you can fill yourself with all new insights, because what all our faculty will bring, because of course also we will discuss, I mean, the COVID situation. It will be probably a big part of the a big talking point in our classes and discussions. So I think it will help people to be better prepared to to get ready for this, as you say, post-COVID world, right?
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. So what is, maybe you could share some advice that you have for students who would like to join this program. What are some of the things you'd like them to know?
Well, of course, I think I already talked a little bit about the advantages of the program, of the faculty, the nice atmosphere, the nice ambiance that we have at school. It's very family oriented, but at the same time it's also professional and academically sound. It's not only kumbaya all day long. So so I think this is a very balanced school. I really like it. So the students, the faculty, program, of course, the great city of Barcelona, which the quality of life, of course, is amazing here as well, in Spain in general, but of course in a city like Barcelona. Being able also, just a couple of hours and you're in France. an hour's drive and a half, you're in France, and an hour's plane, and you are in London or wherever you want to be. So, and also from people who come from far, and of course the rest of Spain to discover, which is, of course, it's not only Barcelona. Spain has so many incredible places, and as a whole is, of course, a tourism magnet. Not only Barcelona, it's one of the biggest, but you have the Balearic, the Canary Islands, Madrid as a big, business tourism city as well. So, and other parts, the Costa, other Costa. So yeah, you've got the destination. Yeah, great program. As I said, in terms of timing, it's really perhaps a good moment, to kind of, just like the industry is, stop and pause and think, who am I? And preparing yourself for this whole new world as we are going along with the industry that's getting ready. So we're going, perhaps at the same pace. And once you're done, probably the industry is also kind of, more back on its feet, right? To be open for business, if you will. So, yeah, I would really, people to, come check us out. At least, come visit us if you can. Well, for Ignacio, it's going to be probably easier, but at least, have some more discussions. And also, I'm happy you can team up with me via LinkedIn or via email. I'll be happy to talk if you have some doubts, and our and you and Valeria and all the others are part of the staff will be also, and Roseanne will be happy to do that. So, yeah, but at the end of the day, you have to follow your heart. I think that's really important. That's what I've always done. Follow your heart in the next chapter. Hey, what is it, what I really want? So you have to do a little bit, get to your senses. Who am I? Where do I want to go? Where do I see myself? And if you think, hey, SA could be part of the solution of this next path in my career, of course, then we'll be happy here to help you with that. So yeah. I can't hear you, I think. Hello?
Hello, I can hear you, Willem, but I think, I don't know if Mohammed can hear us.
Yeah, okay.
And
yeah.
No, I got the, Just one question, Willem. Yeah. Listening to your ideas, it's always very inspiring. But we're living, a really, really tough moment as of today. And, how do you, of course, it's, we're building, we have no reference of having such a pandemic as now.
Yeah.
As per your whole experience in this industry, would you consider maybe, we here in Spain, we do have a lot of massive tourism always related to the beach and parties sometimes. Do you think maybe as due to the coronavirus, this could change in short, mid, or long term to maybe more MICE tourism, or I don't know, luxury tourism, to get this change some way to a different scenario we do have now?
Yeah, no, Corona is a complete game changer for the whole world, but particularly also for our industry. So I think, we see a complete change in behavior and what is considered valuable. I mean, look at now what has been successful. People are flocking to the mountains. People want to be in green spaces, not in the big cities. Big cities are empty right now. No one wants to go to London or Paris or even Barcelona, in that sense, as a city, destination. People want to go and don't want to go where everyone else goes, right? So in that sense, that the mass tourism as we know, tourism as we know has changed, but I think also mass tourism, people don't want to, go. I mean, we already saw this a little bit before. Just like I said, we saw an acceleration of the digitalization. I think we already before this sense of people who are looking for you know, don't want to go where everyone goes and don't follow the leader, the big tours and the groups. You know, people want to have unique experiences and want to go things that perhaps no one else has done or not, which are not so mainstream. So I think that will be definitely happening. So so that means that there are going to be opportunities because, as I said, people want to travel. It has become, in a way, a right. People, particularly here in the West, and it's something that I am entitled to. In a way, it's an entitlement. So people will want to travel, but the way people travel will be different. So perhaps gone are the days, you know, in big, massive crowds, you know, places, and people will, yeah, flock to others, to open spaces, to the mountains, green tourism, sustainability. I think also people are now also are more sensitive to that. So we will see a change. So yeah, so definitely that, you know, green, ecological tourism, rural tourism is going to be big. Yeah. What else? Yeah, of course, the big change we'll see definitely is in MICE. That, of course, the meetings and events, that will be, yeah, a while for that to come back, and perhaps it will never come back completely as we knew it, right? So in a way, perhaps it's going to be this format that sometimes we've seen now with classes, kind of blended, right? So partially face-to-face and partially online, right? So so we'll definitely see changes there. I think, yeah, traveling perhaps not as far. People will perhaps travel less far. More, we see, for instance, an increased demand of rental cars and, you know, and recreation vehicles, right? You know, the big campers, all booked out this summer, right? So, or people buying bicycles, right? So you see there will be just new forms in which people will travel, but travel will always be there. But yeah, it's perhaps for us to figure that out. And perhaps you now having, if you decide to come or to our program, it will perhaps can gives you a year to kind of, hey, what is it? What is what people want and need? And perhaps you can be the next Airbnb, right? Because I think that's also one of the hallmarks of our school is really the sense, you know, the entrepreneurial, looking for creativity. You know, we have some, you know, super creative people and students, and also teachers as well, but also students come with great ideas. And so, yeah, perhaps it will give you time to reflect on yourself and what you want to be and what should our industry be like, right? So, but yeah, it's going to be completely different. Yeah, for better and sometimes also for worse, right? But I'm talking more in general, not for our industry, but no, definitely. And so we have to change our mind, our mindset, and perhaps, yeah, we can help you here at school with that. Yeah, but definitely, hey, Ignacio, it's yeah, it's a brave new world out there. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. So I don't know if we have any other questions before we end today's session.
I don't know, Mohammed, is there anything you would like to ask or share, a question, a concern?
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit louder, perhaps?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mohammed, with your question.
Sir, I have a question. Sir, I did my Bachelor of Science in Hospital Management in 2018 from Malaysia. So before I went to Malaysia, I worked in Sheraton in Bangladesh. So I have some experience in food and beverage department. So before Sheraton joined, I trained in one government organization in Bangladesh.
Mhm.
That organization name is National Hotel Tourism and Training Institute
Mhm.
in food and beverage service.
Mhm.
So I have some experience in room service, in restaurant and banquet as well.
Mhm.
So now I am interested to go to Spain for a master's degree.
Yeah.
So can you suggest me for after master's degree, what will be position can I hold?
Yeah. Well. Yeah, that's of course. Well, of course, it seems already you have a quite a a substantial background in food and beverage, so that's good. And then, of course, with a master's, that's a good start. But then, of course, also it depends where you see yourself, right? You want to have some professional experience here in Barcelona and Spain, or you'd like to move back. But of course, Spain, of course, is a food and beverage paradise, right? I mean, um, uh, I'm not only saying you can eat well here, but of course also on a professional level, the quality of the restaurants, some of the finest restaurants, the best chefs in the world are in Spain, and Barcelona has some of the top restaurants of the country. So in that sense, for you already to experience that here, as from a guest perspective, and then perhaps trying to get an internship. I mean, we have some, I think our food and beverage teacher, that's Sergio, right? Is from Majestic, or he used to be part of our team, right?
Yes.
So Majestic is one of the top hotels here in the city, and he has a very solid F&B background. So what he will bring in terms of food and beverage probably will be very very high quality, top notch. So you get a big injection, I think, of very avant-garde F&B management here with us, and then hopefully we'll be able also to help you with internships. And I know, for instance, we have some. It's on a different field, right? But I remember that Novi, she graduated this year, the class of 2020, and she was always very in her projects and presentations, she talked a lot about sustainability, and she managed, during school to get, an internship at the European, what is it, Sustainability Hospitality Club. So, which was, spot on. And I remember another student, I think we had her 2 years ago, Bella from Armenia, and she wanted to work in the Convention and Visitors Bureau, right? The organizations that promote a country or a city. And she, managed to work for Turisme de Barcelona, which is here in Barcelona, the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So, and now she's actually working, for a similar company back in Armenia, I think. So, so both of these students kind of, had certain visions, certain dreams, and we helped a little bit of making that dream, a little bit more a reality and less a dream. So hopefully with you, Mohammed, we can do that as well. I mean, I cannot make, promises, but of course we'll do our very best, to kind of, enhance your skills and knowledge also, well, in general, in hospitality and tourism, but also in food and beverage. So, and that will help you then to be a more, interesting and more successful candidate, for a job later on, whether it's here or in Malaysia or wherever you'd like to go. Because I've also, no one wants to see a person who has not, been updating him or herself, in the last 5 or 10 years, right? So it's probably, it will look good on your CV regardless where you go. Hey, with and of that Barcelona. I mean, Barcelona looks very good on the CV, particularly, of course, in the world of food and beverage, well, hospitality tourism in general. So I think it will strengthen your curriculum and your profile regardless where you go. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, my pleasure, Mohammed.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's perfect. I guess we can call it we can call this the end, no, of our
Okay.
session today. Willem, thank you so much
My
for being with us today, for sharing your insights in the of the program and
Yes.
also the industry. And I've actually come away, you know, like with a lot of points relevant for me as a person, but I think that for students as well, no, which is in everything in life, but particularly for this program,
Yeah.
and also for looking at developing, you know, a profession in tourism, no, like, you know, come with passion, as you've mentioned before, you know, come prepared.
Yes.
Both for the class, but then also, you know, prepare yourself for the industry and what it would look like post-COVID. So it's a very
Yeah.
important preparation time right now. And also for students, no, like to come ready to give their best, no, because that really stuck with me. No one's looking for anything average. We're all looking for the best, no? So giving your best in the course, you know, students receiving their best from you as well as a faculty, but then also wanting to give their best as well as they move forward in their career development. So yeah, I think that this has been a very enlightening and inspiring session for all of our participants. I don't know if Ignacio and Mohammed would like to add anything before we end.
Not from my side, thank you.
All right, awesome. Well, so yeah, thanks so much, Ignacio, Mohammed, Willem, for being present today. And we hope to hear from all of you guys soon. And
Yes.
Willem, we're looking we're looking to definitely have you in the start of the semester this October.
I'll be there.
Awesome. Great, great, great. So thanks so much for your time and see you guys soon.